Yo, yo, yo! Yo, 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 yo! Oh my gosh! Woo! We're a little late here! Woo! Phil, get out of here! Get out of here! Oh my gosh, disaster! Alright, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Boots out! Go! Woo! What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Boys Crypto Show. Woo! Had to go down to the mailbox. Get the mail. Came back, I was a minute late. Let me pull it on the chat. Let me pull up the chat, baby. Let me pull the chat. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here with me and sharing your time here on this bloody Sunday. What is going on in the crypto markets? We've had absolute dumpage through not just Bitcoin, Ethereum, the biggest players in the game getting absolutely rocked and wrecked today as we go into arguably one of the biggest weeks here. One of the biggest weeks going into the week of tariffs, baby. Tariffs start on the 2nd and the world is so confused. Why is the world so confused? Well, we've never had a time like this, arguably, in U.S. history, baby. We have tariffs combined with a quantitative tightening environment. That is an environment we have not seen hardly in U.S. history, baby. Every time we have tariffs, we sit in a quantitative easing environment that is good for markets it props markets up during times of tariffs. And now without us being in a quantitative easing environment, it leads to ask the question, is the rally over? Is it over? I still think we are in a macro bull trend. We have a higher low, higher high, higher low. We're speculating on that higher low coming in. Shout out to everybody who just jumped on in from the Crypto Profit Brothers stream. We just got finished up with a monumentally successful stream. We had a couple hundred people in there. We greatly appreciate each and every single one of you diving on in, teaming up with the PMG to bring you the sauce, as the kids say, not to bring you updates on the market and to find the hottest setups in the game. That's what we were doing just about 30 minutes ago. It was a great, successful stream, great first stream. We're going to be doing again on Sunday and potentially Saturday. Stand by for updates on that, baby. Over to the bubbles on the daily, and this has been switching from green to red to green to red to green to red. The volatility of Bitcoin right now is off the charts and expected to be off the charts for the next few days. Sunday, we have volume coming in from Asia as the Asia market has just opened, ladies and gentlemen, and we are getting that volume flowing into BTC. The fourth red candle in a row on the daily for Bitcoin since closing beneath that daily 200 moving average. The 200 moving average to the downside, baby, to the downside for BTC, and we were speculating on a reversal. We were here on this channel, on my X and everything. We were on Twitter. We were speculating on a reversal, but man, the weakness is really showing here for BTC, baby, for BTC. Not all trade ideas are going to play out in your direction. Risk management, everybody. I am not currently in any trade. Got stopped out of the Ethereum trade, man. It has been rough in the leverage market, and I will not be opening any leverage positions, baby, until about Tuesday. Until after Tuesday. I need to wait and see what this tariff stuff is going to be doing to the market, whether we're going to get reciprocal tariffs. The questions looming over this market are infinite right now, and any little blip of news is going to cause whipsaw in the market. Horrible for leverage traders. Likely, whether you're short or whether you're long, you're going to get wrecked in either direction. Manage your risk. Manage your risk, everybody. Manage your risk. Volume is really small. All hell. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the volume of the mic, man. Yeah, I think we should have the mic and everything set up. Everything good to go, baby. Good to go. We are ready to rock. Yeah, we got everything good to go. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Wanda, April, Carol, what is going on? Reviews. Nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. Thank you all for jumping on in here and checking out the charts with me here on your Sunday night. Let's take a breath. Let's take a pause. Let's zoom on out here on the daily for BTC. We talked about this daily bullish divergence, saying that we are likely to crack this $95,000 region before we break $76,000. What is bullish divergence? Well, it's when you create a lower low on price action while you're making a higher low on the RSI, saying that the trend, which is currently a downtrend, right? The trend is running out of momentum, saying that Bitcoin is likely to reverse from here. Now, we do have conflicting indicators. We are trading below the 200 MA, and the 21 is now going to be his resistance. We have the moving average ribbon curving to the downside. We do not like to see that. Normally, we just look at the 20, baby, the 21, and the 50 and the 100 are off here. Off. Cool. So we just had the 21 and the 200. That's what we're looking at. Baby. So yes, we are trading beneath the daily 200. This is bearish for all assets across the game. I don't care what token it is. Your token's getting beaten down today. If it's inside the top, I'd say 200, 300, maybe even more than that. Look at this. Go all the way down the line. Every single crypto ranking here besides the 900 to 1,000. Yeah, getting some offsets here. Crazy, but everything in the top, like 300 and up, red, baby. Sea of red, things that pair closely to Bitcoin. Red, baby, red. It has been a horrible day for the markets, and it could get worse. I'm not being all doom and gloom. We got this daily bullish divergence that does suggest we're going to get a kick to the upside, but with this macroeconomic environment, with this uncertainty in the market, we don't know how the Fed's going to react on Friday to these tariffs. It's gonna be a wild ride, everybody. Buckle in, strap yourselves down. This is the cryptocurrency market. To have the heart to be here amongst this volatility, it says something in and of itself. For those of you who have been in it for a few years, you're used to the whipsaw price action, watching your account go, up 200% to down 60% to up 300% to down 70%. You've ridden that roller coaster, baby. Welcome to the roller coaster. And right now, the roller coaster is to the downside. Every one of these reactions here has been a 618, 786 bearish retracement to the upside on the micro trend. So we need to break this from swing high to swing low, 786. Perfect bounce off the 786. Here we go to the next one. From swing high to swing low, and there we are right there in the 618, 786 bearish retracement. If you even take this one right here, 618, 786 bearish retracement from the swing high here, from this one here, we had a golden pocket 618, 786 retracement to the downside, baby. We make a lower low. We'll do this. We'll take it from the swing high. We'll take it from the swing high to the new swing low, and we'll speculate on our new lower highs until this micro trend that we have to the downside is broken, baby, is broken. That's what we're looking at here for Bitcoin. And I have to sit on my hands. I know when the probabilities are in my favor. I do, and I know how to trade them. And right now, the probability is not in your favor to the downside or to the upside. It is not. We have to wait for this week to see how things start to envelop. This to me is a very, very low probability win percentage wise of whether you can win or lose in this market. Of course, people are going to scalp the smallest time frames and do well. It is what it is. But look at this. Even on the 5 minute, you have $1,000 pump dumps on the 5 minute chart. Chop City, baby. Chop City. You're testing this major support level for BTC on the way to the downside. Again, where do I see a bounce coming for BTC? Well, Bitcoin, baby, Bitcoin on the daily. We can look back at this prior trend here. We've been over this on this channel. Baby. From the swing low of the prior range to the swing high of the next accumulation range, we did get that 618, 786 bearish retracement, even wick down into that zone. Likely what it's going to look like on the reversal to the upside, baby, to the upside. That does look very, very likely for a repetitive occurrence here for BTC. We take our swing low here on the Fibonacci to our swing high, and we can see where our likely bounce zone will be between that 618 and the 786, and we are not there. We have a high volume node to support that, and we are currently trading in an area of low volume. No evidence that any kind of support whatsoever is in this range. And if your asset has giant gaps in the VRVP, giant gaps in the PRVP with nothing to support it, watch your altcoins. Watch your altcoins, everybody. Was likely the result of a short squeeze to the upside, and there's very little evidence that, if any, there may not be, if any, support in this range, as we've seen from Bitcoin. Once we lost this high volume node, we fell down into Chop City, baby, and we're likely to chop all the way down here to the 618, 786 Fibonacci, where I'd be looking for a bounce. If this 786 breaks, if we lose that high volume node, man, if this 618, 786 bearish retracement or bullish retracement does fail to hold, it could be the end. I'm not saying it's the end, but it could be. It could be. Did anyone think that this was the end back here? Did anyone think that this was the end when we were up here at about 66,000? Everybody calling for 100K on the break of that prior high? You know, could it be? Absolutely. Could we be in there? What phase of the market cycle are we in? Let's look at this. Anybody ever see this? Everybody ever see the market psychology chart? So the market psychology chart, we'll pull this up here. Oh, the market psychology chart. This shows us right here. Can we zoom in on this? Woo, 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 woo. The market psychology chart. I want to be able to open image in new tab. Can I zoom in on this? Anybody know what the search with Google Lens? Google Lens. Can we get this to pull up on the screen? Can't do that. Anyway, the market psychology, baby. Market psychology. Looking at this, we have hope, disbelief, optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, complacency, anxiety, denial, and panic. Where are we right now in the market? Drop that in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. Where are we in the market? There is a strong argument that we are in the complacency stage. There is a strong argument that we are in the complacency stage. Or are we in the disbelief phase? We could be in the disbelief phase. See how similar these are? You know, you have a top and then you have disbelief rally. This is a suckers rally, depression. We just came out of the bear market. We had the macroeconomic news of Donald Trump getting into office. Everything's going to be bullish. The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Disbelief. This is a suckers rally. Does that not feel like what everybody's seeing on X? Now I'm just diving into market psychology. This is a cool chart to look at because it really does give you the perspective of the retail trader. Euphoria, this is when everybody's getting in at the top, baby. That drop, oh, we just need to cool off for the next rally. Drop anxiety. Why am I in margin calls? Why am I getting liquidated? You know, the dip's taking longer than expected. Are we in this phase? It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. It really is. And when you look at the stock market, you got to ask where we are as well. It's just interesting to see the market psychology. But back over here to BTC, baby. Back over here to BTC. What led to this bear market? Well, I'd like to pull this up on the weekly. The weekly for BTC was showing a massive, very, very strong bearish divergence here on the weekly as you're making higher highs on the weekly with lower highs on your RSI indicator. And you could argue that this was as well. This is still bearish divergence swinging all the way back from that. Oh, this was bearish divergence here in and of itself. We did have a little bit of a blow off, but I like this one right here. So you're making a lower high on the RSI of the weekly saying that you're going to break this low prior to breaking this high. Did you do that? Yes. Yes, you did. That led you to the bear market of 2022. Now let's get this out of here. And now on the way back to the upside, you're looking for bullish divergence on the weekly to kick you up out of here. And did you get that? Yes. You got this bullish divergence on the weekly that swing down on price action while we had this swing across / swing up on the RSI. That was your weekly bullish divergence that you did not get the entire bear market. And then the weekly bullish divergence kicked you up into the bull market. And now that leads to us where we are right now. Let's look at the charts. Where are we right now? And I'm not being doom and gloom, everybody. I'm not being doom and gloom. I have to dive on in here and check this out. We're at that same point. We had this swing down on the weekly, we had this swing down on the RSI, the same thing that led us into the bear market last time, while a swing up in price action. You could say this weekly bearish divergence was invalidated with this wick, but if you're going just by candle closes, this weekly bearish divergence says you're going to break it down here at 48K. And I'm not being bullish. We're going to go over the bullish scenario in a second, but we have to keep this on our radar. It says that we're likely to break this line down here at 48K before we break, up here at 110. Can that happen? Yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. This can lead us into the bear market, especially with the macroeconomic news. I'm not being bearish, and I want to be clear, I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm not selling Bitcoin here. I think Bitcoin is still until we see a lower low being created here, I still think we are in a macro uptrend. I do think there's more room to the downside from the swing low to the swing high here, the 618,786 Fibonacci retracement down in this $71,000 to $61,000 zone, which there would be massive fear in the market. Michael Saylor will be clenching his booty hole, everybody, being feared that he would be getting liquidated by some kind of margin call voted on by the board. We'll see. We'll see. And yeah, it's pretty wild to see where we are in price action. Did anybody think that we would be here? I don't think so. Not anybody could tell me that we were going to be here after Donald Trump got elected. Super bullish for markets, right? And now the NQ and the S&P flashing signs that have not flashed since prior bear markets / crashes. Let's dive on over here to the NASDAQ. As Paul Tudor Jones says, nothing good happens underneath the 200 daily SMA. We fell beneath the daily 200 SMA and retested it, rejected to the downside. NASDAQ looking like it wants to flirt with this double bottom here. If the NASDAQ does not bounce here, to me, as it did back here, if the NASDAQ does not bounce here and these tariffs are worse than we think, not only tariffs, we know the tariffs are coming. We don't know what retaliatory tariffs are going to come. We could get a severe, I would say, stock market crash. Yes, I'm going to call that here. I'm not saying that the crash is happening yet. We break that bottom. You're looking for a 618,786 Fibonacci retracement. What did you get back here when you broke the 200 MA? Let's pull it here. You got what? A 618,786 bearish Fibonacci retracement on the daily, down to that 618 and got the bounce. Does this not look similar? Does this not look similar right here? I have to put this on our radar. If we get a crash in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500, Bitcoin likely to follow. Cryptos likely to follow. That screams economic weakness, and people will flood, as they have been, to what? Stable assets that have been known to preserve your wealth over time. Gold, baby. Is it at an all-time high today? Gold! Ripping harder than you would ever think this asset could rip to the upside. $3,100 per ounce. This screams. You have three white soldiers saying that you're going to continue. Highly, highly likely. Gold, an all-time high today, an all-time high achieved just, what is it now? The all-time high of gold hit just minutes ago at $3,107 for gold, the behemoth on a run ever since we've debased from this way back here in the 19 I was not born. Boom to the upside, baby. Boom to the upside. Ever since we debased the dollar from gold, it has been on a massive tear. The only thing that has been able to preserve your purchasing power over history, gold, baby. And you could argue Bitcoin's better than gold. The charts are saying otherwise right now. The charts are saying otherwise. Everyone wants to get into gold right now because of the amount of uncertainty in the market, marked by gold at an all-time high for uncertainty, baby. For uncertainty. Very, very, very crazy. Very, very, very crazy to see that to the upside for gold, and it matches perfectly with, you have USDT dominance making a run to the upside as well. USDT dominance, man, we're just going over the market in general. Look, it's a week. The action's going to come this week. It will, and we could see the beginning of something monumentally bad for the stock market and for Bitcoin. I am speculating on that higher low coming in for BTC, but we have to acknowledge that the Bitcoin's been trading with the NASDAQ and the S&P, everything falling below that daily 200 SMA. Zoom on out here and see what it looks like for you. Whenever you fall below the daily 200 SMA, it does not look good ever on these charts, baby. On these charts, whenever we're below the daily 200 SMA. I don't want to put fear in everybody, but man, I'll be honest. I'm fearful right now. I'm fearful. And it's like, buy in the fear. Yeah, I'm fearful right now. I'm looking at weekly bearish divergence in the face saying that, it's going to the moon. I'm not saying it's going to the moon, but I'm looking at weekly bearish divergence in the face, and I am not respecting it based off of my spot portfolio right now. I'm not. Why? Because I believe in the macroeconomics of this asset class, and I think it's going to massively take over, baby. I really do. I think when smart money starts rolling into this, which you can argue already has, but we have to ask ourselves the question, do the people getting into this asset know what they're doing? World Liberty Financial hasn't made a single dollar. Trump's crypto portfolio has not made money, period. Zero, none, zip, nada, none. None. It is severely underwater. Hundreds of millions of dollars in the red. Why would he, if he thought this thing was going to crash to the depths, why is his money getting sacrificed at this as well? Who's selling? ETF inflows are up for Ethereum, and Ethereum's at an all-time low. Crazy. That's what I'm looking at here in the market. Drop in the comments what you guys want to see here in the chat tonight, baby. In the chat. Thank you, each and every single one of you guys for being here. Gonna pull up the chat here for each and every one of you. Thank you, guys. I greatly appreciate you. For being here. All right, so we got the volume really small for reviews. April with the emojis. Wanda, Carol, April reviews. Thank you all for diving on in today. Wanda wants to look at H-bar, baby. H-bar. Let's dive on into H-bar. H-bar on the perpetuals. Let's look at it on Bybit. Getting absolutely wrecked, baby. Getting absolutely wrecked. And this chart, like everything else, had a monumental run up back in November. From swing low to swing high here on our fibs, on our Fibonacci's, from swing low to swing. Let's get rid of some of this here. From our swing low to swing high, I just hate how a lot of these coins are violating the the bullish divergence that they've been forming on the daily. That is a very, very bad sign to me. Currently for H-bar, coming back down into that golden pocket, an area that's likely for a bounce. What's the problem with H-bar, this golden pocket that I'm seeing? The range of this golden pocket is massive. It's a 52% range. You could fall all the way down to 11.7, 11 700ths of a cent for H-bar here to the downside to get that 786 bounce, and that's another 50%. Is it another 50% drop? 30? 26, 30% drop to the downside for H-bar before you get to that 786. It's tough. It's tough. And, it looks good out of the cup and handle. This is a cup handle. But you really got to believe in this asset, this project. You're down over 50% from the highs, are you not? 50, yeah, you are. You're down 58% of the high. This reminds me a lot of XRP right now. It got a lot of hope. I love, I love all these assets. I think XRP is doing a great thing. I really do. Regardless of fundamentals and everything, being the new world financial order, all that kind of stuff. H-bar attacking the banks, the same thing as XRP is doing, going after that monumental multi-trillion-dollar market. However, and it also has smart contracts, which is super cool, putting tokenizing assets on chain. Very, very cool project for H-bar. It was made here in the state of Texas, baby, by some veterans. Yeehaw! Shout out to all the veterans out there. Shout out to all the veterans, guys. I was in the Navy for 6 years. I know what that life was like. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Thank you for your service. All right. So yeah, that retracement to the downside for H-bar, and it doesn't look good. All these altcoins look absolutely horrible. We're getting some massive. Look at the monthly. There are very few things that are green here on the monthly. Even the hottest coins in the H-bar was hot. Optimism was hot. Arbitrum hot. Doge, SEI, Wild, Litecoin down 33%, was trading at $130 just a month ago, now trading at 85. This is a carnage market, everybody. And for those of you that think, and I know people think this, oh, we're already down 23%. That means we only have like 70% to go to zero. No, it does not work. This could be an exact copy and paste of next month. If we do, you could drop further. Altcoins could drop another 50, 70%. They can. Look at these charts here on H-bar. Look where we were. This was the bear market at 4 cents. A lot of coins trading below their bear market lows. Can H-bar break 4 cents? Yes. Shake your head, yes. As my old ROTC Sergeant Major Blank, Sergeant Blank, she said, shake your head, yes. Shake your head, yes. Yeah, so yeah, it can definitely happen. That's H-bar in a nutshell, baby. H-bar in a nutshell. I want to bring just giant caution to everyone. And perspective from an investor's point of view is just averaging in regardless, right? Averaging in regardless. But averaging in more up here is going to raise your average price, especially if you were to get down in at these levels down here. To me, we need to wait and see what happens. I'm sitting on my hands with leverage. We need to see what happens, baby. We need to see what happens this week. There's still a CME gap above us for BTC, everybody. A BTC at about 84.4. That is true. Historically, these love to fill. Not all of them, about 3 of them in Bitcoin's history have not filled. Up here at about 84,000. What does the CME represent? It represents the area of Friday's close. Up here at about 84.4. That is likely to get hit. A gap in the VRVP has shown from between. There is a gap in between, or not in the VRVP, in the CME. This whole gap has not been filled yet. Even at the start of this candle, we're heading away from it. Likely we get some kind of squeeze up into this region. Do not get overly hopeful if we do get this bump up into here, because the sea of rejection is very, very likely, like we've seen in the past with CME closures, CME fills. This was a CME fill right here. Everybody got really bearish to the upside. Boom. CME filled from back here, created all the way from this was CME. Where was it? Sunday? Yeah, Sunday right here. This was a Sunday candle. This massive candle here on Sunday was filled. That was a CME gap, baby. That was a CME gap down almost to the dollar for BTC, baby, for BTC. That's what I'm looking at for BTC. I have to say, we have to wait. We have to sit on our hands. In this community, I'm sitting on my hands. And I know it's, we're not trading right now. Oh, what? We're not trading right now. I have to sit on my hands. And I'll be the first to tell you, nobody knows what's going to happen in this market. Nobody knows. We are in a state of ultimate fear right now. Zoom on out in the charts. We are in a state of ultimate fear. We've been here before. Is this what it's going to look like? Are we going to break 100K? Was that the top? We have to ask ourselves those questions. We have to. We have to. Something that I like to go over for perspective. You know, if you're under the age of 35 and you started investing at 18, some of us even started investing younger. You've never lost money. Congratulations in the stock market if you've held. You never have. Even since 2008, when I was down in my in my parents' basement playing Guitar Hero while they were dealing with the financial crisis of 2008. I was in here playing Guitar Hero, hitting the lightning strikes and everything, everybody. That's what I was doing when I was in 2008. I don't remember, where was I in 2000? I was 12. I was 12, baby, in middle school. Isn't that where you are in 12? Yeah, I was in middle school. Getting absolutely 12? Am I 28? Yes, I am. Good night. 16 years ago. Crazy. I'm getting old. I already have some white back hairs. It's crazy. All right, so yeah, you have never lost. Look at 2008. You've never lost money. This was 2008, and this happened over the course of several years. So small on the chart, isn't it? So small. Back here in 07 to 08, this was a multi-year bear market. I will be the first one to tell you that there will be something like this coming in the future. This was not bad compared to the dot-com bubble, baby. Look at this dot-com bubble. This was a lesson in history. History doesn't often repeat, but it often rhymes. This was an 83% correction in the stock market after massive hopium around the internet and everything. It took 4 years to get out of this bear market. Insanity. I was in element. I could barely talk at this time. Can you talk in elementary school? Yeah, I guess you can. But yeah. This is what a blow-off top looks like. You have a massive run-up, weeks and weeks of green, and then you start giving a little bit on the, let's see what this looks like on the daily, baby. Let's see what this looks like on the daily. Going back years, baby. You had, this is what, does this not look like what the stock market looks like right now? In my mind, I have to look at this, baby. I have to look at this. This is a reminder to me, something that I have never lived through, and people under the age of 35 have never lost money in this market. This will happen again. It will. This will happen again. Something similar. Why? Because if we keep going on this parabola, like back here, a little parabola here, and you break it, look at this parabola. This has started ever since we've had this massive money printing in this country. Look at this parabola. It will break. And yeah, could we get a bottom here? Sure. Yeah, absolutely, baby. We can bounce to the upside. But when this cookie crumbles, and it will, I don't know when, but it will. When you crack this weekly 200 MA that you have not broken since 2008, down here at 16, you have not, Well, I guess he did close below it down here in the, the bear market of 22. You start closing weekly candles beneath there, danger, danger, danger for a massive stock market crash. This correction here in 2022 was minuscule, a 38% correction. I can see something like the stock market crash of 2020 or 2001 happening again here potentially. This is how it would start. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this is how it would start. You have that break of the 200 daily MA. You have that retest to the downside, baby. That's how it happened right here before we entered the bear market. That break of the 200 MA, retest to the downside. This will kill people's retirement accounts. This will kill them. This will kill retirement accounts. I'll be first to tell you that my retirement account is currently all in cash, baby. I am going to put it into Bitcoin, but it's currently all in cash, being transferred to I Trust Capital, baby. Look at this here. Rejection of 200 MA to the downside. Did you get above? Shoulder, head, right shoulder, to the downside. This daily 200 MA is everything. It's everything. I just can't stop. I can't stop looking at it. Shout out to each and every one of you that is still here. I just have to look at that and remind myself of where we are. A stock market that is three times greater than COVID. This was COVID back in 2021. We were sitting out 6,800 for the NQ. We are three times bigger than that in just a few years, in 6 years. Unsustainable. If we're going to go 3,000 or 3x where we are, we'll end up at a $60,000 NASDAQ. We would have to be up here. This move right here is comparable to this kind of move right here on the NASDAQ. A move like that. It's not happening. It's not highly unlikely that happens, in my opinion. We are cooked on the NASDAQ. And the RSI is saying so as well. Let's see what it looks like on the monthly. And why are we looking at the NASDAQ on a crypto analysis channel? Because Bitcoin's been trading with this bad boy. Crypto has been trading with this bad boy. Bearish divergence on the monthly time frame says that we are likely going to crack. We are likely going to bearish divergence on the monthly. We're likely to crack this $10,000 level. Yes, $10,000 level before we crack $22,000. And a lot of people will say, "There's no way, that's impossible." Those are the people that are going to get wrecked, that don't have the open mind that this is bearish divergence on the month. If this was on the 15-minute time frame, we'd be out of our trade. We'd be out of our trade and we'd be waiting for this to fulfill. Or at least for the RSI to reset, give us some kind of hidden bullish divergence. That's what I'm looking at, baby. That's what I am looking at. H-bar, I had to dive on over into the NQ. Hey, one wants to look at XRP. XRP, the strongest coin in the game, arguably. This looks horrible. Horrible on the monthly. I know there's a big XRP army out there, and much love to every single person that's out there. I'm trying to keep people safe, and I've been talking about XRP. I'm gonna be non-biased when I look at this coin for everybody. But I have to say that somebody owns 45% of the supply, and that's Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, who sells on the public every single month. I hate seeing, I have whale indicator on X, and every time I see that, Ripple releases 1 billion tokens and sells. What is, they're not selling, they're selling on the public. It drives me nuts. With that being said, it is one of the strongest players in the game, one of the only coins that is still above its daily 200 SMA. I have to be bullish above this line. Every time you're above the line, you're looking good, baby. You drop below this line, danger, danger, danger for any asset. You drop below this line here at about $1. This led you into the bear market down here to 30 cents. Insane. XRP is beyond overextended. I have to say it. And, you're cooked on the monthly RSI. The RSI turning downwards very, very violently. And what scares me about this coin is the amount of retail, the amount of people that don't even know what this coin does. And just blindly in it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I have to warn everybody. I have to. It could be the new banking coin of the future. And I say this with all the love in the world. This looks horrible from a charting perspective. If this was flipped upside down, I would long it 10 ways to Sunday. Inverted cup, or inverted shoulder, head, right shoulder. Failed. We have another shoulder here that could potentially break to the upside. Why would I be loving this? Because look at this gap in the VRVP. This shows short squeezes People were not buying in here. People were getting liquidated. That's what caused this massive run to the upside and retail accumulation. Now you're at that shoulder, head, right shoulder looking to break downside. Everybody who knows has been watching my channel. I had to be a bear below 242. Why? Because that's the point of control. The bulls could not reclaim it and the bears won out here. So you have a massive amount of sell orders sitting up here at about 240 in your face right now, staring at a shoulder, head, right shoulder on the charts. And you have another shoulder right here. And this was bullish. If we could have defied this and cracked this high, well, that was bullish to the upside. But right now, I would be very cautious. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be average. You can average it. These, some people perceive these as the best prices for XRP, and you're currently bouncing on support. I will tell you this. You crack this support level, you're going for a trip, and you're going back to $1.47. You lose that level, you're going to fall down to this $1.13 level. You haven't tested any of these major ranges of support, and this would be ultimate pain. I know, for the XRP army. I know. Much love to the XRP army, everybody. This massive run up to the downside, you have your 618786 sitting between this range of $1.50 and $1.24. That could be the region that, and you know what? Tomorrow, what happens on the first? What happens on the first? Another $1 billion in XRP gets unlocked from the escrow wallet. Are they going to hold it? For XRP holders, I would hope so. If they do not hold and they start selling, that will trigger. You can trigger some massive liquidations that have already triggered in the short direction. All these longs give you the potential for a short squeeze. Why? Or a long squeeze to the downside. I don't want to see that for XRP. So for XRP, what would I be doing here? I would definitely consider if you're looking, hey, XRP's assets going to the moon. Okay, where's your next high or low likely to come in this zone right here, and it's likely to get hit on a wick. Come on down in here to the upside. You will get some support down here for XRP. That's what I have to say when looking at XRP, baby. I have to. It looks bearish, baby. It looks bearish on the daily for XRP. If you get this rollover and you crack the daily 200 MA, you're going to come down and test the 618786. And yes, that's a 50% down draw for XRP. And retail will be like, what happened? We're replacing the banker's coin. It will follow Bitcoin, just as everything else in the top 100, 200 does. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm frustrated with this price action. This is horrible. We got above the daily 200 MA and we broke to the downside, baby. I'm frustrated. Now, I know a lot of crypto investors are frustrated too. This has been a very frustrating market, very difficult to trade, massive chop. And it seems like every time we get some kind of news, Trump just rolls over in his bed. Look at gold breaking the high again. Gold all-time high in current time. Right now, just hit an all-time high for gold. Gold at the highest it's ever been right now, the last minute and 60 seconds ago for the all-time high for gold, and continues to run to the upside, baby, to the upside for gold. This is monumental. Look at these last 4 hours going on into these tariffs and April 2nd, the uncertain times of the world, man. This is crazy. But that's what I'm looking at for XRP, Wanda. I don't mean to say, I'm not trying to be fearful. I'm not trying to be fearful, but I am putting caution to the wind. I have to. This coin has outperformed. If the bear market were to start, it will play catch up to the downside. It will play catch up to the downside. Gaps in the VRVP. You're starting to roll off that hill. I don't like rolling off that hill, baby. I don't. Coming down to $1.47 looks very, very likely for XRP. And you can argue that these are good prices, and you can average in. There's nothing wrong. This would be, if you're bullish on XRP in the long term, here's what I would do. You get a little bit right now. These are great prices right off the highs. And you can do what the whales do. Limit, and come down, trigger your limits, and you catch some of these, and then boom to the upside, you're in the money, baby, regardless of wherever you got in. You could limit the entire way down here, take advantage of a capitulation wick. Look at the people who did that over here on the daily for XRP, the biggest liquidation event in crypto history, still below where we are right here. You had this massive wick. Anybody who had limit orders in down here, anybody who was smart enough to put limit orders in down here was able to pick up some cheap XRP and was up from the bottom 54% in just a couple of hours. That's the power of limit orders, and it could happen here for XRP. I see a giant wick coming to the downside for XRP if we do not hold this daily 200. You expect some strong support here at about 180. If this support does fail to hold, that's what I'm looking at for XRP, baby. And I'm not going back and forth on everybody. I'm trying not to. I don't want to go back and forth, but we have to give it as the charts are presenting it. It was looking good just a few days ago for XRP, defying this shoulder, head, right shoulder, and now you're rolling over to the downside. You cannot break this support. This is an area that you have not traded below since, arguably December. You haven't closed some candles beneath this zone here since you had one in March and then back here in December. It is true. It is true, everybody. That's what I'm looking at for XRP, baby, for XRP. Shout out to every single one of you guys in the chat. We're caught up on the chat. Let's dive on in to the U.S. economic calendar. Man, all right. U.S. economic calendar here, baby. And we just went over this on the Crypto Profit Brothers stream, baby. The streams on Sunday are going to be a little shorter because we're streaming a couple hours before this stream. But this is what we're looking at. It's the same thing, different kind of stream here on Sunday nights now. On Sunday nights, a little different. So we won't be streaming as long tonight. I'm just preparing you guys for the week ahead. This week is the biggest week. This week is the biggest week in, I would say market history. It's going to be. We're at the line in the sand on the charts for the NQ and the NASDAQ, and Bitcoin is not far below us on that 618786. Monday, low volume. I expect low volume today, and I expect massive price swings. I expect false move Monday. Maybe we get a little bit of a pump. Tuesday, we have PMI coming in. Okay, not too much, and job openings. That's going to give us another glimpse of the economy. Auto sales, that time doesn't come out yet, but we have to acknowledge that there is a tariff being placed on auto sales the following day. So these numbers are going to be very important when it comes to the next auto sales that gets released quarterly. Wednesday, nothing burger. Thursday and Friday are going to be the big ones, baby. Initial jobless claims. And on Friday, after the tariff announcement, we are going to be looking at Jerome Powell speaking at 11:25 a.m., the man, the myth, the legend that can save this market as he did back in COVID time. But the difference between now and COVID time was we weren't worried about inflation in 2020. We weren't too worried about it. The Fed had it under control. Now the Fed does not. So they risk a tremendous amount letting inflation get out of control if they turn that money printer on again. That is the danger in the economy right now, everybody. That is the danger of the economy. And we could already see it. I went to the grocery store yesterday. And I was looking around. I was baffled at some of the prices that I was seeing. Some of the products that I purchased are up 100% on their price in just a matter of 2 weeks the last time I went to the grocery store. Like pie crust and things of that nature. 100%. Wait till you guys go to the grocery store next time. It is terrifying. Those tariffs are already getting priced in the groceries. It is going to be very difficult on the American consumer. And that's the difficult position that Jerome Powell is in. Save the economy, turn that money printer back on, devalue the dollar, and get money back into people's pockets so that they can start spending again and inflate the market. But at the cost of defying the mission of the Federal Reserve to keep inflation as low as possible. This is a dangerous time in the economy, everybody. I have to put that. And I hate to be all doom and gloom, but it's dangerous. When I was thinking about that, that's the struggle of this man. I know everybody kind of has hate towards Jerome Powell, but that's what we're looking at right now from a macroeconomic perspective. The decision Jerome Powell makes on Friday will likely set the precedent for the next upcoming year/2 years. That's why I say it is going to be the biggest event in crypto and market history, because we've never had an environment where we've had this many tariffs and a quantitative tightening environment. The first time ever. And the last time the Fed was this tight on rates, we had the 2008 financial collapse. Housing market crash, and the stock market's crashed too. Don't get me wrong. This is the biggest day on Friday. Keep this on your calendar. It is going to matter to you, even if you don't invest at all, as an American consumer on Friday, what this man has to say. it is incredibly important for every United States citizen to understand what goes on here on Friday at 11:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what I see in the markets going ahead, baby. Going ahead into the week. Shout out to every single one of you guys that are jumping on in the chat. Reviews, Wanda, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are absolutely awesome for sharing your time here with me, baby, here on your Sunday night. And I don't mean to be all doom and gloom. I really don't want to. I don't want to be, baby. I don't want to be. It is tough. It's tough. It really is. MH, thanks for jumping on in the chat, man. I appreciate you. Do you see a rising wedge on Bitcoin monthly in log mode? So how do you go in the log mode on Bitcoin monthly? You go down here. There's an A for auto, and then there's an L for logarithmic. So we can hit the log. Whoa, 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 whoa. We did that on the RSI. So we can go in the logarithmic scale here on BTC, baby. On BTC, logarithmic. So we can go in the Bitcoin on the logarithmic scale on the monthly, he says. The logarithmic scale just scales the price action here on the logarithmic scale, as you said. So yes, we could dive in. Do you see a rising wedge on Bitcoin monthly in the log? Yay, that's very valid. Rising wedge. That's yeah. I do see a rising wedge here. These things do break down a majority of the time. They really do. I don't normally use the log scale. I don't. And that hit it down to 17,000. It's crypto. Anything can happen. Nobody thought we were going down to 17,000 when we were at 60K. Everybody was calling for 100K. And this space is different since the ETFs got involved. This space is very different. Yeah, it doesn't look good. You have that bearish div on the monthly here. Bear div on the monthly. With that rising wedge, does not look good to me, man. Hey, thanks for calling that out. I'm gonna keep this on my radar. This is gonna take forever to unfold, ladies and gentlemen. It really will. Why? Because it's a monthly chart. This candle does not close. This candle closes in a day, in about 20 hours, right? We'll see how that closes. I expect a strong red candle for the monthly close. That's going to bring some volatility to the market. The monthly candle close. There are people that just trade on the monthly, baby. And not just the monthly, but there's in the 3-month. The 3-month closes as well. The 3-month does close. Yes. The 3-month does close after some, yeah, right, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I do see a rising wedge on the logarithmic, man. I appreciate you diving on into that and dropping that in our chat, man. I appreciate you. Hey, everybody, drop a like on the stream if you could, really quick. That really does help me out. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. You guys are absolutely awesome. Thank you, April, for reminding us all of that. Yeah, Donald, about the tariff on South Asia. So, reviews, I'm sorry, man. Yeah, and not everybody's here from the United States. So when I speak from a U.S. perspective, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the U.S. But there are people from that watch from all over. So I appreciate each and every single one of you for being here. Yeah, Trump is pushing Powell to cut rates for that reason. For the reason that rate cuts often go hand in hand with tariffs. And we, for the first time, are not seeing that. That uncertainty, people don't know what to think about that kind of environment. And you will get negative price action in almost every asset that is deemed risk. And honestly, the stock market is deemed risk right now. It is crazy to what we're seeing in the market, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy to what we're seeing in the market. Keep your wits about you as we go throughout the night. Keep track of gold. This is a great sentiment indicator. Gold is saying to us right now, in the past 3 days, look at gold to the upside. 3% for gold in 3 days. Not often does that happen for gold. Very rarely does that happen for gold in just a matter of a few days. This is a monumental uptrend for gold. I can't get over it. It really is. The 21 curving violently with price action. And I'll tell you what, if we do have some kind of recession, people are going to flock to this. If you don't have a little bit of silver, a little bit of gold, baby, a little bit of gold. I got some gold here somewhere. But this is something that people will flock to in times of uncertainty. Uncertainty at an all-time high, as proven by gold right here on the daily the last 3 days. With these tariffs coming up, a very volatile time for markets. If you're have a plan. If your plan is to ride this, my suggestion is to you, do not look at your account for the next week. I wouldn't. I would just not look at it. If you're an investor and you want to ride this week out, you ride it out, baby. But I wouldn't stare at it. That will spark fear like nothing else. And there's likely going to be this on Bitcoin. You know Bitcoin to be a volatile asset. We're likely going to see something like this. Like, with the uncertainty in the market, it can happen. It'll be chop city, baby, in this gap in the VRVP. No support, no buy orders, no sell orders. Liquidation events happening on feels like the daily, especially for altcoins. I would watch your alts. If you're a trader like myself, it's time. I know it's hard because you have that itch you want to scratch. It's time to sit on our hands. It's time to sit on our hands until Tuesday. Take a breath. Take some relaxation time as we did this weekend. Take some breaths. Relax. Recover. There will be a time to strike in this market like a snake in the grass. We will strike. Now is not the time. Now is not the time. We will look for an overreaction this week. We will have an overreaction on fear or optimism this week, one way or the other. You can mark my words and put the trader stamp on that, baby. Put the trader stamp on that. Gold is saying so. The charts are saying so. Bitcoin rolling over as we speak here on the 15, rolling over again to the downside. We have not been above the 15-minute 200 MA since up there at $87,000, $6,000 above where we are. We have a little bit of a shoulder head, right shoulder, not looking good to the downside for BTC. This will be a steep drop on this one, baby. This will be a steep drop on Bitcoin down here. Break that neckline. We're coming down to 79K. And I promise you, if we do test these lows, you crack that wick, you will see a candle like this, like net. Look what happened when we cracked this prior range. We cracked the low and you went on a nuker to the downside. Be careful, everybody. Be careful trading these environments. I'm choosing to sit on my hands. Follow me at BoysCrypto102 for my trade ideas. Just ideas, not financial advice, everybody. I got absolutely wrecked this week. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Got absolutely wrecked in the leverage trading. It's been horrible. I've lost my last four trades have been red ones. Either stopped out or I cut them off early. And, you know, we were speculating on that daily bullish divergence on BTC, and we were trading the alts. Why? Because Bitcoin dominance looked to roll over, and Bitcoin dominance is ripping to the upside. And it will do it. It'll do it in times of Bitcoin dominance will rip to the upside. All the way we could potentially get this 786 this week. We could see a massive candle on Bitcoin dominance this week. I'll be the first one to tell you guys that. That's what I'm looking at, baby. That's what I'm looking at for the market. Reviews dropping on in the chat. I appreciate you, man. Do I agree that the rate cut will launch Bitcoin up? Yeah, yes, that'll happen. That'll happen. That'll happen if we do get that quantitative easing, we get rate cuts, or the Fed, Jerome Powell, comes out and says, yeah, we'll get more rate cuts. But we have to acknowledge his job, he doesn't care about the market. That is not Jerome Powell's job. That's not Jerome Powell's job. Jerome Powell's singular job is to monitor employment, maximize employment. His thesis, the thesis of the Fed since its inception, the thesis of the Fed, maximize employment, keep inflation to 2%. Those are their two missions. Zero to do with the stock market. Now, stock market starts rolling over, that often coincides with higher unemployment. Very, very true. Very, very true. So we have to keep that on our radar. But that is the difficult balance because you start printing more money. Unemployment does start to creep up because people have more, unemployment starts to fall as we have more money in the system, but that leads to more inflation. How do you get rid of inflation? While tightening rates. You tighten rates, people start getting fired. People start cutting down on their employees. That's the push-pull of the Fed, and they are at a... If this was a resistance band, we are stretched to the max right now. This week will be the biggest week that you guys have ever seen, I think, in market history. I'm going to put that down there. You guys can clip this and whatever, post it all on Twitter if you want. This will be the biggest week in market history. This week will likely tell us whether we continue to the upside and we get back above that daily 200 MA on Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, and the S&P, or we are starting the beginning of something like 2022 optimistically, or like 2001, worst case scenario. It can happen. It can happen, everybody. I'm just keeping that on your radar. That's my analysis going on into the night. We have to be careful here. I'm sitting on my hands, baby. I'm sitting on my hands. I will keep you guys up to date on Twitter, baby. Thank you for joining me here on this Sunday night before we go into the market. Mark those days. Tomorrow's price action means nothing to me. Nothing. Tuesday is the day the tariffs start hitting, and you may see some exaggerated fear or something, or if a tweet comes out tomorrow and this all changes. We are in a no man's land zone, a no trade zone for me. That's what I'm looking at going on into this low volume Monday with massive amounts of uncertainty riding on in, baby. Riding on in. You hope, hey, reviews, Trump's plan goes good. If not, free fall down to the bottom. Yeah, man, I hate to say it, but you could be right. You could be right. You could be right. We could be looking at the euphoria stage right here in the stock market, getting down in the complacency bounce, anxiety, denial, panic, anger. Those are the emotions that are likely to follow if we continue this rally down. Depression. Your retirement money's lost. How will we pay for all this new stuff? I'm an idiot. That's when the prices will reverse to the upside, according to Wall Street Cheat Sheets market psychology chart. That's what I have for you guys tonight. I don't mean to be doom and gloom. Keep your wits about you going on into the market this week. We wait for Tuesday, the tariff announcements. I will be here tomorrow to break it down for you guys on Monday night, baby. Monday night. Thank you for joining me here. Tonight. Yes, there's so much in the tailwinds right now. We have max uncertainty, a non-trade environment for Boys Crypto and the community. If you guys are following along, thank you for tuning on into me tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be watching this market like a hawk. Much love, everybody. Until next time, Boys Crypto is out, baby. We are out. Everybody enjoy your night. I will see you tomorrow.